Welcome everyone to Teaching Tuesdays for Passive Cash Flow for Life. Nicheole was going to teach tonight, but she has been overseas and got back very, very late. So she is on, but she's going to, I think, rest, which she definitely deserves. She's been gone down in South America for a little while, doing some business down there, and she just got back. So for those of you that are new, welcome. And for those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that are new, Nicheole has been doing commercial real estate for over 25 years, thousands of units across the United States, and about 11 years ago decided that she wanted to give back. And she loves to teach, and she's actually very, very good at it. So she started teaching a class live about 11 years ago, something like that. And I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that, I actually took her class. I was doing single family flips, didn't like it. It was another job for me. And decided to get into multifamily real estate. I heard good things. I went, I met her, and the course was phenomenal. I mean, best course out of any real estate course, no matter what the subject that I've ever taken. So anyway, we enjoyed working together and stuff like that. We ended up partnering, and then right before COVID, we decided to take the Passive Cash Flow for Life class, if you will, and redo the entire thing and actually put it online, which is interesting because the class, when it was live, was 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day with breaks, right, for 4 days. And Nicheole's comment when I said, hey, let's rebuild the whole thing and put it online was, oh, good, because I don't have enough time to teach everything I want to. So the class is 60 hours. It is basically everything you could ever possibly need to make sure that you have all the tools to be successful in multifamily investing. I mean, everything from A to Z plus 10. I mean, it's amazing, amazing, amazing. So the idea behind Teaching Tuesdays is we started this, I guess, a little over a year ago, maybe in January of last year. Again, it's kind of a twofold purpose. One was to teach, 30, 35 minutes or whatever it is once a week, with the idea being to introduce people maybe that were not familiar with multifamily real estate, kind of to multifamily real estate before they kind of made the jump. And if they liked what they heard and they felt they were learning and they thought we could provide some value for them, then obviously we would always encourage them to actually take the class. We can see with that QR code up there. And I'll mention this at the end also, but we're doing something incredibly special that we have not done in 4+ years, I want to say. March 7, 8, 9, and 10, we're actually doing the live class again for the first time, like I said, in 4 years. Obviously, if you are an online student, you get to come, to that as well. But it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be in Baltimore, Best Western Conference Center. A bunch of people have already signed up. The room obviously is a limited size, unlike online where it can be unlimited. So if you have an interest, just at the end, there'll be a link for you guys to kind of follow, if you will. So a lot of the community members have been very successful, and some of them are on now. And why don't we go ahead and get started? If I can get this to do this. Hold on.
Hey, James, I already put the link in the comments. And if I can just chime in, we went to that class maybe the year after you, but totally mind-blowing, totally worth it. Sometimes you don't know how long people are going to teach or because Nicheole definitely doesn't have to, and it's a long 4 days. Anybody that's done any amount of teaching knows that that's very taxing on people. We're lucky that we have some people down here in Florida, but it took a while maybe to see Pete Fortunato, and now he's cutting back his teaching. So you never want to kind of miss those opportunities when people decide that they don't want to do a whole 4 day class, which is a lot, and they're probably 10, 12 hour days, or with a break here and there. But definitely a good class, and we're looking forward to it. So hopefully we'll get to meet some of you guys up there.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you. So as you can tell on the slide, it says Nicheole Amundsen because she was the one that was going to teach this. So I did look over the deck, so I'm familiar with it, and obviously all the stuff that's in here I'm familiar with. So, all right, so due diligence, right? I believe last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, I believe we did off-site due diligence, if I remember correctly. So there are two parts when you actually get an LOI signed and then a contract signed is you need to go out and make sure that what you are buying is what you think you are buying, right? Um, on average, from what I understand, from what Nicheole teaches, you're going to go through a bunch of deals, and I tell everybody this, you're going to go through a bunch of deals, find some, put some contracts on some, and then even when you go through those, even if you have like 3 signed LOIs, 2 of them are probably going to fall out during due diligence because you find something that the sellers maybe did not disclose that is a little bit of a deal breaker, right? And it's really, really, really important that you do this properly. Nicheole has a 26-page due diligence list, full 26 pages, which every landmine she has stepped in as she has gone through her 25 plus years of experience, she has said, okay, made a mistake there, let me put it down. So it's pretty much, it's pretty amazing. It covers everything. And I've seen some due diligence checklists, and they're like 3, maybe 4 pages on a good one. So 26 pages is pretty amazing. All right, so 3 general parts for the site visit, if you will, right? So you're actually going to the property and you are doing your due diligence at the property. So 3 parts. 1, you're obviously going to go through the entire property, right? Number 2, you are going to meet with people in the community to do some background, also introduce yourself and a bunch of other stuff. And then you're also going to meet with key people that either going to be your property manager, maybe they're contractors, somewhere along the line, they're going to do business with you as the owner. If this goes through and it passes due diligence, when you go to closing as a new owner, some of these people are people you're going to be in business with. So it's good to kind of start to know these people even before you go to closing for the property. All right, so commercial real estate is a team sport. I know a lot of you guys, myself included, was very much a solo guy. No, it's all me kind of thing. And you can still, but once you get into maybe some of the bigger projects, it's really much better if you do have a team, a small team. We're not talking 20 people or something like that, but it can be 2 or 3 people, maybe 4. And what you'll do for on-site due diligence is you will usually, right, you'll have a schedule of all the things you're going to do that your plan, and then you're going to break those usually into 2 teams, right? So one of the teams, and you're going to schedule meetings with these key people before you go, if at all possible, because you don't want to be showing up at, the community town council meeting or whatever it is unannounced. So you want to try and make appointments, and these are some of the people you want to make appointments with: the tax office, the land records office, planning, building, and zoning, code enforcement, the police department, and the fire department. And some towns, if they're smaller, some of those may be combined, but obviously you need to reach out to the town and kind of find out, hey, where do I find these 4 or 5 different departments, and how do I set up a meeting so I can come down and actually introduce myself and ask some questions and kind of do, like I said, our due diligence. All right, so part of the due diligence is your competition, right? I mean, so much of what we do is based on market rates and what other properties look like. So before you go, right, you're going to identify as best you can properties that are your competition. And competition does not mean that if you are buying a C-level property, you're going to go look at an A-level, because it's not apples to apples, right? You're going to want to get as close as you can, for the most part, to the property you're actually looking at buying and seeing what's something comparable. So if I was living in the property that I'm looking at buying and I decided to move out, where would I go that would be comparable to that? Or vice versa, if somebody else was in another property and they wanted to come and move to our property, which hopefully they will, what does that look like? So walk into 2 or 3 of them, be a mystery shopper, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Some people are like, hey, I'm looking for a place for my mom or dad, or hey, we're thinking about moving to the area, or whatever. Just talk to a leasing agent or whoever may be the person that's doing that. It might be online for the smaller properties. Try and get copies of their materials, because you're going to forget a lot of the stuff. look at their websites. Some of the more and more popular or I guess more and more do you see websites for apartment buildings, even the smaller ones, because everyone's kind of on their phone, right? When they look something up, if you don't have a website and they're looking for a place to live within a certain sub-market or neighborhood and you're not online, chances are you're going to miss the opportunity to actually get a new tenant. And then when you're there, I would encourage you to go in and look at one or two units. And because you may look at what you think is comparable, right, and say, wow, you know something, they're getting $1,100 a month for their apartment as a C-level apartment, and my apartment is only getting 900. So therefore, over the next several years, if I want to get to market, I'll be able to get to $1,100. But if you don't go in and actually visit the unit, you may walk in and go, oh, they've got a washer and dryer in the unit. And oh, they've got newer appliances, or oh, they've got more up-to-date pulls on the cabinets, or faucets in the bathroom and stuff like that. So it's really important, again, you compare apples to apples. So look at one or two units. Take pictures of it. I am not uncomfortable at all if a property manager is with me asking, hey, I know you've got stuff on the web and stuff like that. Do you mind if I take a couple of pictures while I'm in here? I've never had anybody say no. And if you have a property manager that is open to it, and most are, you can ask for a contact for the property management company in case you decide to keep them. You're going to need that contact information anyway. So, all right, so around the property, right? Drive around the property during the day. A couple of things you may want to do. I looked at a property in Texas, I think. And so I was driving around the neighborhood and I went to the 7-Eleven. And who's going to go to the 7-Eleven? It's people in the neighborhood. And the 7-Eleven looked like it was in the roughest part of town. The building itself didn't look that rough. It was a little rough, but the 7-Eleven looked really, really rough. And I'm thinking, all right, well, these are my tenants. You know, is this the level of tenant that I want in my property? So drive around the property. If you have a 7-Eleven or a Walmart or something close by that you can stop in and kind of take a look at what the demographics look for that area. Drive the property both during the day and at night. It can be 180 degrees different. What you see during the day may be completely different at night. And if you happen to be there around the weekend, I would encourage you to drive by in the evenings also on a Friday or a Saturday night. And establish, you know, hopefully you'll know this going in, but if you don't, you know, kind of verify is it an A neighborhood, B neighborhood, C neighborhood. If you see a police car in the neighborhood, you know, wave them down, talk to them. I have nothing but the utmost respect for so many police officers. My best friend is a police officer. They got a really, really hard job. And they are more than happy to talk to you if you have an interest in what the area is like. And I found them to be pretty honest. They're not going to sugarcoat it. They're like, yeah, you know, this is what happens here. This is what happens there. Oh, that building, no problems there. Oh, that building, you know, that's something you kind of want to watch out for. And then what are the businesses around there? Like I said earlier, you know, is there a Walmart, a 7-Eleven? What is in that area, especially if you're buying like kind of a C property, which we buy a lot of. Are there businesses that people can walk to and work at, you know, kind of thing, or close by, or are you close to a bus route, or the metro, or whatever it may be? So learn your neighborhood. All right, so on the property itself, right? Now, some of the stuff you should have had before you even drove down, flew down, whatever it is you did, right? So you want to get a copy of their current rent roll, right? That means the last month. So if it's December 3rd, you don't want October's rent roll, right? You want November's rent roll. If it's January 1st, you want December's rent roll, right? You want the most up-to-date one you can possibly get. You also want to find out how many people are delinquent, you know, how much money is owed, who's running behind, what units are currently, like right now, not occupied, right? And a lot of times we just saw this with the building we looked at, they basically said, oh, okay, you know, yeah, no, don't worry about it. That one's rented, you know, kind of thing. And they'll move in, you know, whatever day it is. Well, you need to verify, right? You need to look up, do you mind sending me the signed lease so I can kind of take a look at it, or whatever it is? So, make sure that what they're telling you is true. Now, they can't outright, well, they can't outright lie to you, but they don't have to disclose anything to you. It's not like residential, right? With commercial, it's pretty much buyer beware. So you want to verify everything. Trust, but verify, right? And then you want to get a copy of the security deposit list and the amount for each person, because what happens is those security deposits do not belong to the current owner, nor will they belong to you. But you want to make sure that whatever is held in that security deposit account transfers over in its entirety, because that is money that is owed to the tenants, and you don't want to have to go into your pocket and pull money out because you didn't get a list of what the security deposits were. Look at all the leases. It's a pain in the butt, but you really want to look at all the leases, okay? Just to figure out, oh, look, this lease says 675, and on the rent roll it says 950. Or there's all sorts of things you'll find on leases. And then the leases, a lot of times they'll also have, I guess, a resident folder, a resident file, depending if they're all online and stuff like that. Just kind of take a look through that, see if there's any background checks, who are they letting in, anything of interest. Oh, look, this person has a Rottweiler or whatever it is, and they're allowed, but our insurance won't cover that. So this is something we're going to have to take care of. So you don't have to look through all the resident folders unless it's a smaller building, but you definitely want to look at least all the leases. All right, so in the office, you want to get as much information as you can about payroll, who's in the office, what the staff is. Now, these are more for 40, 50, 60 units and above, where they'll actually have on-site managers. Because what ends up happening, for those of you that are not aware, is if you have a smaller property, there will be a property management company offsite, and when they have someone that wants to view a unit, they'll send somebody over, right? Or something breaks, they'll send somebody over. When you get to slightly larger properties, they're going to have on-site. They're going to have a property manager on-site. They're going to have a maintenance person, half-time or full-time. If it gets bigger, they may also have a leasing person or whatever it is, right? And you, as the owner, are going to be paying for that. Not only are you paying a percentage to the property management company, but you're also paying for that staff. So if there's staff on site, you want to find out, hey, do you have job descriptions? What kind of benefits are you paying? What am I going to incur, when we take over this property, in terms of, and it should be all on the financials or whatever it is, but you really want to kind of have it outlined. And then who provides utilities? Where are the contracts? In most commercial properties, and Nicheole, feel free to jump in if I'm missing something here, but for most commercial properties, a contract goes with the property, not with the owner. So for example, if you have laundry rooms and you have a contract with a laundry company that is supplying maybe the units, doing the emptying out and I don't know if they still have them, the ones you actually put quarters in, but you have a contract with them. Make sure that you look at that contract, because you are going to incur that contract when you take over the property. And if you look at the contract and it says, okay, look, it matches what it says on my financials. Oh, look, on the contract, it says that if I want to re-up, basically, they gave me a half price cost the first year. So I spent, $10,000, right, as my expense to them. But here in the contract, it says that in 3 months, when the contract comes up for renewal, it doubles in price, right? I mean, that's just an example, but you want to look at them because you want to see what you're getting into. And we've had a couple issues with that, with like cable companies and stuff like that. So, and then you want to get the names, the utilities, phone numbers, contact names, obviously, because if you do end up going to closing, you want to be able to reach out to these people and transfer everything over. All right, go through the units. Yes, go through every unit. We would highly encourage you not to say, oh, it's a 10 unit. Okay, well, there were 3 that the manager can let me into or whatever it is right now. That's fine. I'll just look at them and then I'll get an idea of what the other ones are, right? chances are pretty strong that if they cannot let you into 2 or 3 of those 10 units, not always, but chances are they're trashed, right? And that's why they're not letting you in. So when you do finally get the property and you walk into those 2 or 3 units that were not available at the time, you'll walk in and you're gonna have to spend 5, 6, 7 grand to redo the entire unit, something that you were not aware of because you didn't go through each and every unit. Take a lot of pictures while you're in there. Something that a friend of mine told me that I think we're going to start doing as well is you can actually just rather than take individual pictures, you can just record, right? Everything as you're going through an apartment or whatever it is. You can also take notes. You can have checklists and stuff like that. Okay, I checked underneath the sink, there's no leaks. I checked the oven, it works, whatever it may be. I checked the wooden floor, it's not torn up or whatever it is, so we can use it, whatever it may be. But a lot of times you're going to forget to write something down. So it's nice to be able to have a video of each individual unit. And at the beginning, you just say, okay, this is, or take a picture of the front door. This is unit 3A. It's a 2-bedroom. And then just go ahead and do your thing or whatever it is. Because it's nice when you can go back and just get a screenshot of, something I didn't write that down. What did that look like? And then you'll have a kind of a screenshot on it if you don't have the time to take a look at it and you want to look at it kind of off-site. And if the owner will not let you in, or the manager will not let you in, you're going to ask the owner to certify that the units that you have seen are a fair and accurate representation of the units that you were not able to get into. And if you find differently, they're going to give you a reduction in price. Obviously, if it's after closing, maybe some money gets kept in an account or something like that, just on the off chance something happens or whatever it is, that money is available to be pulled out of the account or whatever it is. But you need something from them saying, okay, you only got into 7 out of 10. These other 3 are exactly what I'm telling you they are. They're perfect or whatever it is. All right. So kind of a little bit of the same thing, right? But actually outside the property, walk the property, right? It doesn't mean just kind of like walk the parking lot, right? And kind of look around or whatever it is, but walk the property. When you're walking the property, look at the roofs, look at the gutters, look at, the windows and the trim, look at the sidewalks, there are any trip hazards, look at the handrails if you're in a garden unit or somewhere else, are those going to be a risk? Look at the parking lot. Parking lots are not inexpensive to resurface. So take a look and kind of take into account, okay, am I going to have to get a new parking lot? Am I going to have to reseal it? Am I going to have to paint the lines? What am I going to have to do? Take a look at the HVAC units on the outside. A lot of them you'll see are really, really, really old. So take into account that at some point in the future, you may have to start replacing those, but you don't know that unless you actually, take a look and kind of walk around the property and then take pictures of everything. Again, you can do the video. When you're outside, you can do the video and pictures. I don't know what they're called. Maybe one of you guys knows better, but there's something that's got like a handle and you put your phone on it and it kind of stabilizes it all the time. So it's much easier to carry when you're taking pictures or video. And then also go through the office and the maintenance areas, right? And I kind of, a couple things. When you buy a property, most of the time it's written into the contract that any and all, I can't remember the term right now, basically everything comes with it, right? So if you walk into the office and there's 2 Macs, right, or 2 Windows computers or whatever it is, those come with the property. Or you walk into the maintenance area and they've got 3 push behind mowers and trimmers and a bunch of other stuff. If they're doing their own lawn service, you need to take a picture of that, because I will tell you that when you go and take over that property, a lot of times some of that stuff is not going to be there anymore. And it may not be malicious, right? Somebody just said, oh, something, we're selling the place. One of the lawn guys goes, I think I'll take that with me or whatever it is. And they take it. They're not trying to steal anything, but they just figured, okay, it's being sold. This is extra stuff. I can just take it or whatever it is. So make sure that what you take a picture of is there when you take over the property. And then you also want to find out, okay, what do we contract out and what do the actual maintenance people do in-house? Because obviously if you have in-house people, yes, you are paying for them to be an employee, but a lot of times they can do something a lot cheaper, right, than having to go out and get a contractor to come in and do something. So you kind of have to weigh that. So you'll find, oh, HVAC, yeah, we don't do any HVAC stuff. We contract that out. Oh, interior painting, the painting we do, but if we need to replace the carpets and stuff like that, that gets contracted out. So try and make a list of all that stuff. And that's basically it. It's a little bit short. We've only been talking for about 25 minutes, which is actually what we were supposed to do in the beginning, but these have ended up going long, 25, 35, 45 minutes and stuff like that. And I'm going to let, Jane and Sharon kind of jump in here, and Nicole, if you're up for it as well. I can't stress to you enough how critical due diligence is. I would liken it maybe to something that is maybe more common, if you will. So I bought, I don't know, 20, 30 cars, right, in my lifetime. And I think I bought 2 new ones, and that's because I got an enormous discount. It was actually cheaper than a used car. But every used car I take to whoever my mechanic is at the time, and I have him do a top to bottom inspection, right? And sometimes the owner's like, no, I'm not going to let you take my car. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I just won't buy that car, right? It's just too dangerous, right? You buy a car sight unseen or whatever it is, or without some sort of small warranty if it's a used car, whatever it is. And then 3 weeks later, you're at the dealership. And this has actually happened to people I know, especially with older BMWs. Oh, it's going to cost you like $6,500 to redo the top half of the engine because you didn't get it checked out before you went, and you paid $8,500 for the car, right? So due diligence is critical. That's kind of an example. You would never buy, I hope, a home that you were going to live in without getting an inspection of it, right? You hire somebody, 600, 800 bucks, $1,000, whatever it is, to do an entire top to bottom inspection of the property and come back and go, look, these are the 5 things that are wrong with it. Commercial real estate is that important plus 10, because the costs that you will incur in anything that is more than a single family house, a duplex, a quad, 100 units, whatever it is, you need to multiply that out and go, okay, that's going to cost me 10 grand or 50 grand or 30 grand. And if you don't know that up front, you also can't go back to the seller, and not little stuff. You don't want to do, little crap, right? It's like, oh my gosh, that's going to cost like an extra 35 grand or whatever it is. And I just found it. You can go back to the seller and go, listen, this was not disclosed. We found this. It's going to cost us 35 grand. And then whatever you want to do, we'd like to take that price off the top, or we'd like a credit, or we'd like you to split it, or whatever it is. Some will say yes, some will say no, and some will bargain with you. Now you don't want to be doing it for little stuff, because then you get labeled as something called a retrader, and you do not want that label in the industry, because what ends up happening is people think, well, they're just going to send an LOI for whatever I think I can get for the business, with the idea being that once I've gone through all this rigmarole and due diligence, they're going to come back and kind of lowball me at another price, right? People will stop sending you deals. But if it's something major like that, absolutely, go and talk to them. So that's it on due diligence. We'll take questions here in a couple minutes. One of the things I wanted to share with you was, again, the class, right, that we're having. It is the end of the month. I think tomorrow is the 31st. So this is only for the rest of this month. So you basically got a day and a couple of hours. What we're doing is, not only are you able to attend the live in-person class, right, you will also receive the entire online class for free. Or you can look at it the other way. You're getting the online class and you're getting the 4-day in-person class for free. One way or the other, you're getting both, right? And you can pay full price, $19.97, or 3 payments of $747. I can give you story after story after story after story of people that did not get some level of education and end up paying for it one way or the other with a mistake they made. They call them, I can't remember the actual name, but it's like a seminar that you pay for, right? Oh, I made a mistake. It's going to cost me $4,500. That's my seminar, right? As opposed to, hey, I want to spend 2 or 3 grand or whatever it is, took this class, and now I avoided that $4,500 mistake. Or sometimes you just need somebody to lay out a system for you, which is what this is. It's basically a system. You need someone to lay out a system for you, saying, okay, here's step 1. Done that? Here's step 2. You done that? Here's step 3, right? As opposed to trying to do everything at once. The goal here is for individuals to spend 5 to 10 hours a week, every week, as best you can, consistently, right? To be able to buy your first building, whatever size, in the first year. We usually recommend you start with something smaller, maybe 25 or 30 units or below. So that could be a quad or a 5-unit, or it could be, 20, 25 units, and mostly in the smaller markets because it's less competition. But a phenomenal class. Again, haven't done it in 4 years. May not ever do it again. So there's a discount for you there. And this is actually the website to go to. So you do have to put the W's in front of it. I don't know why, but our software guy told us that. So you do have to put the W's in front of it. And I think maybe Jane is able to actually paste it in there. So, and then /events at the end of it. And it's basically 4 days, right? To literally change your financial future. So it's March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of this year. So that's in, what is that, 5 weeks, I think, at the Best Western Conference Center in Baltimore. And if you have any questions, you can send it to support@Passive Cash Flow for Life, or you can send it directly to me, which is James@Passive Cash Flow for Life. So Jane and Sharon, Nicole, anything you guys want to jump in with?
Yeah, I think like due diligence, whether it's residential or multifamily, and I'll just give a quick utilities. You touched on that early on. We bought some houses in Baltimore, didn't really know about the water bill stuff, just kind of figured people paid their water bill so they could have water. Um, the getting the leases and getting all that stuff from the prior landlord was a bit problematic, and just over and over asking for stuff, and then somehow the water slipped through the cracks, and then title company kind of slipped through the cracks, and here we go with a couple $100 for each house, and I think we bought 4 of them from them. So that adds up that we didn't pay attention to the water bill. So fool me once, don't fool me again. But the different markets that we go in, you have to pay attention to that. So that was always the big one, the utilities, and find out how the water works and who pays for it and all that stuff. A little bit different with multifamily, but still pay attention. Due diligence will make you or break it. It'll either be a good deal because you did good due diligence, or it'll be a horrible deal because you didn't.
And you'll never get a good night's sleep again, right?
Yep. Gray hair.
Nicole or Sharon?
I don't really have anything to add. I think there's a lot more to due diligence than you talked about here. So this just hits some of the highlights. But I wouldn't want people to think that if you just do these things, you've done all your due diligence, because you haven't. That's my 25 pages.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
going to say 25 pages later, there's a lot of it to be done.
And then I'll show you here, as we're answering questions, stuff like that, I'll show you the website. I think there's 3 or 4 modules, and each module is between an hour and 2 hours long, just on due diligence. It's that critical. But anyway, questions? Anybody have questions that we can answer for you? It can be about this, or it can be about anything multifamily related. We can't help you with relationships or anything like that, but we can talk to you about multifamily if you have a question on anything. What's in chat?
Hey, James, I think somebody had a question. Will you guys have any Zoom, Zoom calls in reference to the online stuff? So the best option was to go in person, then have the Zoom, and you have the in-person meetups. But is there any if they get stuck in the course, any Zoom calls or?
Oh yeah, so absolutely. So great question. So yeah, so I can't remember if it's once a month or twice a month. What we've changed it to, basically I hop on a call with all the students, and you're able to ask whatever you want. Hey, I've got a deal, can we talk about it? Hey, I've got a question on how to read this report, or whatever it is. But I think even more valuable is that you can email us for any question whatsoever. as a student, and I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. Usually it's within 24, but sometimes it gets a little bit hectic. But absolutely, at my computer, every day, for most of the day. And as the questions come in, I just respond to them as quickly as I can. And then if it's something that you really have a lot of questions on and there is some challenges, we can always hop on a Zoom call, just, the student and I, and kind of go through it. That works as well.
And there was another question. Does the course provide information on small multifamily 2 to 6 units?
Yes, there's actually one. Not only are we going to talk about it during the class, but online, there was actually one module all by itself, all about smaller multi-units. So we talk about all of them, but we specifically have one class that Nicheole taught that is just on smaller multi-units, and it's a great way to start.
That's how we're going to get started, right?
Like Doug Simpson's comment in terms of I guess if you don't get some education before you buy
Called stupid tax.
call it a stupid tax. That's a riot. That's too funny. What are we doing on time? Oh, we got lots of time.
Yeah, I think you guys are ready. You and Jane and Sharon are ready for bigger than small units, but you start where you're comfortable. That's what's important for everybody.
Absolutely.
What is this gimbal that I heard that I've seen?
Doug, you want to share that?
I spelled it wrong. I think it's with an AL, but it's just a device that you hold up and it mounts your camera to it, and it will get adjusted and will automatically level and keep everything really smooth while you're moving. So
plus it follows you a little bit. Like if you're moving, it'll just the camera will just. A buddy of ours, we just met him up in Plant City, and he's got it, and it kind of followed us as we looked around at the house, and it's pretty cool.
Different settings you can put on. I think that was a tripod that you can attach to it. That it's really cool. It was neat.
And I put some of the different ones in the chat box. Some of them are really cheap. Some of them go up to a little pricey, but you're going to use them all the time and use them in your house visits or. And James, we like to do that too. There for a while, we were just doing the pictures, and for a couple reasons, like people get smart, and then if they take a picture of a rehabbed house, or it might be a different rehabbed house than your house, or different stuff. So doing stuff from afar, now it's you walk up to the house and you take a picture of the front door with the address, and then you go in the house, and it has to be a video. So I think video is more for remembering stuff. And we basically, took a lot of pictures before, and you have 1,000 pictures, and you're like, well, which room was that? Was that to the left? And which bathroom was that? So now if you just, take the whole video, go around the room. It was actually a way we like to take the videos, but that way you remember the whole thing, and it's a little bit, you can talk during it.
Yeah, we also use those a lot in move-in, move-out checklists, so that you actually have a video of what a unit looks like before somebody moves in. And then if somebody's saying they didn't get their deposit back because they left it just in perfect shape, now you can do video on the move out, and you have pretty much evidence of it, of how it was really left.
That's awesome. I like the idea of and I guess I want to kind of reinforce the fact that you talk during the video, right? So you can say, oh, here is whatever the sink or whatever it is, and look, it's cracked on the right-hand side or whatever it is, and then kind of move on. As opposed to, as you were mentioning, taking pictures and stuff like that, you kind of have to like take notes, as you go, and it can get a little bit tedious, and you're probably going to miss some stuff because you get tired of writing all the stuff down.
But I'd also remind that we have the forms for the walkthroughs, where you can check off things and kind of and fold corners and stuff like that when you got problems. So video works, but we also, for those people who are more video challenged, we have part of the course is you have this form that is basically when you're walking through units.
Or you can do both. You could follow the form and use the camera to look at the stuff that the form is asking you to look
That
at.
would be true too.
You could do both. Somebody, who was it?
Yeah, there is another question in the box,
Right.
James. Are any of the classes about networking with professionals like CPAs, property management companies, mentors, etc.?
I'm trying to think. I can't
Not per
remember, to
se,
be
but we
honest with you. I
talked
don't think there is, but that is something, maybe we'll do that on a Teaching Tuesday. And then just share that with everybody, how to interact with professionals in this industry, just like that, brokers. We do have part of the course is on talking to brokers, right? But not so much if I don't remind me if I'm not remembering this properly, Nicole, but I don't think there's anything that we now have. I know we're going to, but we don't have anything on like CPAs or insurance brokers or anything like that in the course, correct?
we have something about who's on your team and what they should be doing for you, and questions to ask, but not networking per se.
Okay, okay. If you go back on Teaching Tuesdays, somewhere along the line of the last year, I know we've done a talk on how to talk to investors or how to network in general, and different tips and tricks you can uh, use, if you will, to engage with people a little bit more comfortably. If you're very much, especially an introvert like I am, I know it doesn't sound like it, right? Yeah, Joanna's like, what? So yeah, very much an introvert. I know Jane and Sharon are always saying they're introverts and stuff like that. So I am proof that even if you're an introvert, you can still act extroverted, I guess.
Right, gotta have a switch. I think also, maybe not per se, but if you sit on the edge of your seat like we do when Nicole and James is speaking, you'll catch some little tidbits about, their CPA and SEC lawyers and different stuff. So they have, 25 years of experience here where they have a good team that, should you need those folks, or they can refer or recommend somebody to help you along your endeavors.
Absolutely.
I do not see anything else in the box. I've done my best to put some links in there and make them look presentable.
Let's see. Will this actually let me click on there? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It actually lets me do that. I didn't know that. So I didn't know you could click on a link in a PowerPoint. It will actually take you there. But so obviously if you're watching, you can't click on that link or whatever it is. So here's the actual page, right, for it. So March 7th to the 10th. Boot camp, I guess you can call it that. Maybe that's a better term for it or whatever it is. We do have a sniff test, which is basically you're going to look at a lot of deals to find one that works. And sniff test is something that Nicole developed, if you will, which is kind of a quick 15 minutes, look at a deal. Is it worth it moving forward or not? We did the meetup last Wednesday, and there was a guy in there that's bought, I don't know, several thousand units. And he was saying when he started, he used to underwrite everything, like an hour or 2 hours underwriting everything. And I was totally guilty of that until Nicole told me, you're being a knucklehead, stop doing that. So the sniff test is huge. Buy big or buy small apartments. Self-storage, if you have an interest in that. Mobile home parks are very, very desirable, right? So if you want to get into mobile home parks and stuff like that, how to raise money, right? You talk about that. And then at the end of the day, part of what I talked about in the book Teaching Tuesday last time was in terms of setting up systems, right? Nicole and I actually talked about this earlier today about setting up systems so you can step back a little bit and it just the system runs things, and then you're able to take more of a bigger picture strategic view as you build those systems, and some of the systems that have been developed over time that are part of the class as well. Oh, if you go here, some testimonials from a bunch of students and stuff like that you can go take a look at. And what else? And this is the actual course that if you guys sign up before tomorrow night at midnight, you get the course as well, the online course. Hopefully I'm not making anybody sick. And these are some of our students. They've done really, really well. Money back guarantee, you know, if it's not to your liking or whatever it is, or you don't feel there's enough value, which I would be shocked, but if for whatever reason you decide after 30 days or within 30 days that it's not for you, send me an email, no questions asked. I'll pop you a refund, no big deal. Right? We're not trying to take anybody's money. We were trying to provide value and help as many people as we possibly can. And then here's some FAQs at the end. So here, I'll actually put this in the.
Yeah, we've also told people that if you buy your first property within the first year and you looked through all the classes and been on the calls, that we'll give you your money back if you have proof that you bought your first property and been on the calls and stuff like that, because we really want people to make sense to be successful here.
Yeah, great point. Totally forgot about that. So, and obviously, you know, I'll know if you've been on the calls or not since I'm running the calls, right? And if you're going to buy something, you really should be on the calls because you want to get as much information and get all your questions answered as you move forward. Make sure you don't step in any landmines. And Charlene, we do have a module on repositioning, right, Nicheole?
Yeah, it is part of something. It's one. Yeah, I don't remember if it's by itself, but we do talk about repositioning.
Yep. PMPs and stuff like that. Absolutely. Because Charlene, I know you got that 6 unit down in Baltimore you're still working on, right?
Yes, sir.
One day. It's a beautiful building. I don't know if you guys have heard this before or not, but Charlene, I met her at her building in Baltimore, the 6 unit. And you know, I got there a little bit early and I'm parked and I'm looking, I'm going, man, that is a really nice building. I don't know which one's hers, but that's her competition. You know, this beautiful kind of woodwork and, you know, brick and tall windows and stuff like that. And she pulls up and goes, no, that's it. I was like, oh my God, that's a beautiful building. It's really, really nice. Really stands out and it's got a nice presence to it. So
if you want to use it for class, you can, as far as
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe we'll do that for maybe on a meetup instead of doing it on a Wednesday if you're local.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it on a Saturday and we'll take everybody out to your place if you would be open to that. I know it's not right around the corner from you, but if you wouldn't mind driving up there and meeting us, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Good deal. Thank you for doing that, for offering that. Appreciate it.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Well, you've been helping me.
What else? So this is interesting, actually. Sam Henry, he's now bought, I think, a 44 unit and then a bunch of other stuff. There's a guy on here that should be on here, Alex, who did a video kind of recommending the course. And I think he's up to, I don't know, 122, 172 or something like that, all in Maryland. So which is kind of exciting. But I talked to somebody that I met somewhere at a meetup that was in California, then moved to Spain, just moved here and invested in a small syndication. And the name of the guy that was running the small syndication was Sam Henry. Talk about a small world, right? Which is pretty amazing. And this other guy, I've been talking to him back and forth. He wants to take the course as well. He's very, very interested, but isn't that a small world, you know, from out of nowhere? It's like Sam Henry. And like, I know Sam Henry. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So anyway. All right, we got a few minutes left before we turn it over to the amazing Jane and Sharon.
Are there any topics you'd like to see us talk about? We're always looking for good topics for these Teaching Tuesdays.
Yes, absolutely. So, and you can, you know, type it in the chat. You can just we got a small enough group where we got like 18 people, something like that. So feel free to just come off mute if you have something, or just send me an email. People have done that as well before. So the whole idea here is, to provide you guys value. So if there's something that you're thinking, oh, something, I wish I knew how to do that, or I'd like a little more information about that. The IDU guy in Maryland. Oh, independent dwelling units in Maryland, Charlene. I don't know if that's really multifamily though. Is it, Nicole?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
IDUs, independent dwelling units, like you can put, a prefab in your backyard to rent out.
Most of the time you can't do that. I'm sure you can't do that in Maryland without having permissions and all of those kinds of things.
Right.
Oh, in some states, if you're out in the county, a lot of times you can do things like that. Rarely within city limits.
Right. I'll do a little research, Charlene. It's interesting. So, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them put together a modular home. I went out and looked at one, I don't know, like in Winchester or something like that when they were putting it up. So these are not like you have a mobile home park and you've got like a single wide and a double wide, which are beautiful. The new ones, they just do an amazing job with them. They're very, very well built. But this was actually like if you're driving through a neighborhood and you look to the left and there's a 2.5-story colonial over on the side, this is what that looked like. They just showed up like in 7 pieces. And in a day, that would have the foundation, obviously, right? In a day, they just kind of stacked it. They put it all together. They raised the roof. They attached the garage, tile in the bathrooms already, tubs in the bathroom, all fully painted. All they had to do was when you put the 2 pieces together, obviously there's a seam there. So there's a way that they actually finish the seam. But it was like foundation. And then by 6 o'clock that evening, full house. It's unbelievable.
Are you talking about modulars?
Yep, modulars. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know in most places you have to have that has to be set up so that you can put modulars there. Modulars are a little more popular than manufactured homes, mobile homes, but you still have a lot of pushback from a lot of people about putting modulars in.
Yeah, which makes no sense to me because they end up being a little bit cheaper too, right? I mean, not only do they take a lot less time, but they end up being less expensive by like 10 or 15%. Is that right? Or am I off there?
They're probably a little bit less expensive. But you still have all the site prep to do, and that's where a lot of the expense comes in.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. All right, so we're 7:27. Last call. Oh my gosh, there's a flashback to when I used to 10 bar. Last call for alcohol. And then we crank up the lights on everybody. That's always fun. I'm going to turn it over to Jane and Sharon. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. We appreciate it very much. I know you could be doing something else tonight, so we appreciate the fact that you took an hour out of your day and came and spent it with us. Hopefully you've got some value out of it and you learned some stuff. And obviously, if at any point you have any questions whatsoever about multifamily, feel free to reach out to us. So we'd be more than happy to help anybody out that we can.